Hi, it's me, Kevin, from the internet. This is my Interchange PC run. It's very laid back and easy to do. It has no requirements other than the gun, rig and the backpack you want to bring in, and it is consistent money. You will not run into many players doing this. The majority of players go into the central parts of the mall, focus on high-end tech spawns or go for killa. Or doing the stash runs, of course. We will be sticking to the edges of the mall where our loot is pretty much uncontested. I've done a fair few of these runs over the past few days now because of how expensive the majority of the PC parts are. Everyone and their mom is trying to get their Bitcoin farms up in the Hideout and are paying upwards of 50k per CPU fan, 20 to 30k for CPUs and circuit boards, and power supplies go for anywhere between 70 and 80k each. Keep in mind all prices fluctuate depending on the day and the time of day. These screenshots were taken during prime time on a Saturday. More people online means more supply and the prices will go down. If you want to make the most amount of money from your sales, list them during the night on weekdays. Prices will be higher then. Don't forget, whenever you loot a PC, you also have a small chance of rolling a GPU spawn, although I have not seen a single one yet this patch. GPUs currently go for $1 mil. This run also works wonders for people who are looking for flash drives, as every PC has a chance to spawn a flash drive sticking out from the USB port. To close off, I'll also show you the lion statue spawns that I know of. The lions currently go for around 460k on the flea market, and you'll need a few of those found in raid for a quest, as well as building the Scav Case in the Hideout. So let's get to it. To get the most out of these runs, you want to make sure that you have plenty of room on your character to carry loot. My typical go-to for runs like these are the AVS rigs. These are class 4 armor, which is plenty to handle any scavs you might come across, and they have a lot of space for loot. Their 2 dedicated 2x2 slots are great for putting power supplies in. You can typically find them on the flea market and on fence for around 50 to 60k. Just be mindful of the max durability that they have. The higher the better, of course. I would not buy one that's below 40 durability because it will eat some of it after repairs. For a backpack, a Scav backpack is usually sufficient. The goal is to fill up the backpack as quickly as possible and extract. These runs can be very fast depending on how many PCs you want to hit up. And for a gun, whatever works honestly. Anything you're comfortable with to defend yourself against a possible player counter or a scav. The objective is not to kill players. It's to loot PCs and not bother with combat. Combat will only slow us down. So your spawn will determine where you go first. If you spawn idea side, you'll naturally move from there towards the ollie side and vice versa. This time we spawn outside of the ollie, so we start from here and work our way up towards the idea side where we have our extract. When running up the staircase, be advised that many players seek to rush up here and then go to the left for the tech stores. This area is very hot and you want to move through here as quick as possible. We'll have to move through it at one point later unless you want to take a slower and safer route. More about that later. For now, we will take an immediate right and hit up the side offices for our first PCs, giving other players time to move through this area. You can close the door behind you when you go through to not leave a visual clue for other players indicating that you're in here. And then our first PC will be in the first unlocked room on the right. As you exit, on the right will be a door that's closed and you can open it for another PC in there. Going through the double doors and then the first closed door on the left will lead you to another 3 PCs as well as a duffel bag. Going in here and looting all of this will give the other players the time they need to get to the tech stores, which we will not bother with. The duffel is worth hitting up because it can spawn all sorts of items. I found a Bitcoin in this exact one before. After hearing footsteps of a guy running past, we move towards the middle of the alley. This part of the run is probably the highest traffic one and you can decide, depending on the sounds you hear around you, if you want to skip it or not. But there's another few PCs in here that we hit up. We're going around the backside of the alley towards the other information kiosk, where there's more PCs. I stop and listen at times to see if I can hear anyone. Again, this is definitely the part of the run where you want to be the most on your guard. If I run into anyone at all during these runs, it's typically around here. When you spawn at the idea site and mirror this run, and you're going through this area last, further into the raid, it typically dies down though. After we're done hitting these up, we move towards the backside offices where there's the biggest cluster of PCs in the entire map, as well as in the entire game altogether, by my knowledge anyway. My routing in this part of the raid was not ideal. I wanted to hit the one room on the side where there's the garbage bags blocking one of the doors first, but I always have this area flipped upside down in my brain for some reason. Anyway, as we make it towards the room that I actually wanted to loot first and making my run more efficient, we find that this one has actually been hit by another player. It happens from time to time. Contrary to the belief of some, these runs are actually not a secret. The reason why I make these videos is to illustrate and point out a decently quick run and give some pointers here and there to mainly newer players who are unsure of where to find certain things. Anyway, this is the most sought after PC spot in the map. There will be more rooms and more PCs on the way. Spawning at Aldi side is a bit tougher than spawning at the idea side in my opinion. As we start moving towards the idea side, things will be smooth sailing. But we have a decision to make. You can opt for my quick way of getting towards the next PC office in between Ollie and Goshen, or take the longer and safer way. The longer way is exiting Ollie in the back, going over the ramp into the backside of Goshen, there through the double doors and double back. But it takes maybe twice as long. Typically what I find is after spending about 10 minutes in the store now, the area around the Ollie entrance is usually clear as long as we move through it fast. When we reach those double doors at the end of this hallway, we're in the clear and away from the high traffic that's the Ollie store and the surrounding tech stores. When you go through here, you'll find a small office connecting the Ollie to the Goshen with more PCs to loot. If you find SSD drives, know that these can go into your documents case if you're carrying one. When we are done with the last PCs and the jacket for a chance of an expensive key, we move through the Goshen store with a few quick stops for valuable loot spawns. When coming through here, check the lockers in the backside corner for a chance of a Bitcoin, Rolex or gold chain spawns primarily. Moving through to the middle of the store where you find the tents and the burning barrel. You can find valuable spawns next to the sleeping bag, mats including golden star on the pallet, as well as the keypad door key that spawns on the cardboard behind the tent. After checking all of these spots, move on up onto the connector tunnel that will lead you to the office area between Goshen and Idea. Next up is going into the Idea to check for statues. I found a lot of people miss out on lion statues in here, which currently sell for around 460k rubles. There's also computers in the office area in the Idea, but these frequently get looted by those who spawn close to it. I typically check for statues and then leave. So for the statues, when you come into the store from this side, through the opening with the wood panels on the floor, check the display on the right and inside the drawer. I've seen statues spawn here. Next spot is right behind this wall here, inside the display. Moving on, check the displays on the left for lions and the one on the right in the back for cat statues. The cat only sell for around 30k and being a 3-slot item are not as worthwhile to loot though. When coming up to the backside of the office, check this display immediately to the left for another spawn location of the lion statues. This back office is pretty much where all of the Idea side spawns rush to from the start of the raid. There's high value tech loot including Tetris and graphics cards on all of the shelves here. And you can sweep it before leaving, but keep in mind by the time you get here from the oldie side spawn, this has probably already been cleared. I did find a graphics card here on the Scav one time though. When we check the PC, we can tell that these have also been cleared, so it's time for us to leave. The PC parts we found are consistent money and people missing the lion statues have made us even more. On a closing note, I've left out the power station PCs out of this video on purpose. Primarily for the reason that this is a very common place for PMCs to spawn. Typically, those who spawn here will clear it out entirely because it has a few very good loot spawns as well as 3 PCs. I don't typically go there unless I spawn there. Remember that the power station sometimes has the car extract that you can take when in a pinch, and it doesn't matter on which side of the map you spawn. It costs 3k rubles to use, and for this reason alone I always keep a small stack of rubles on me in the documents case. It's not a guaranteed extract though. It does not always spawn and it's also a single use, meaning that if it does spawn and the PMC takes it before you do, you will not be able to take it anymore. Anyway, this is my Interchange PC route. You can mirror this run depending on where you spawn and it's a solid moneymaker with very little PvP confrontations. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more of my videos including money making tips, general guides, PvP guides aka the breakdown series and more, check out the created playlist I've linked in the description. Subscribe if you haven't yet and ring the bell to not miss any of my future uploads. I upload every week and I stream 5 days a week on twitch.tv/crashed. Feel free to stop on by and ask anything Tarkov related. We are very welcoming to all players from long-time veterans of the game to those of you who are playing their first wipe. Good luck out there and see you in the next. Oh yeah, and I don't know if I said this in the video yet, but guys, thank you so much for putting us at 50k YouTube subscribers. When I started out doing this, I hoped maybe one day some people might view some of my videos. But since last week, now more than 50,000 of you have chosen to subscribe and keep an eye out for my uploads. Thank you so much for that. All of this has been a dream come true and I feel truly blessed by all of you. You have absolutely changed my life. I hope you know that. So thank you for all of you who have believed in me up until this point. If you'd like to further support me and help me grow my channel even bigger, give me a follow on Twitter and Facebook if you have an account there. Liking, sharing, retweeting and reposting my content is the best and also a free way to help me reach an even bigger audience. Thank you.